Hi, I'm Leonie West from Westerly Design, and I'm going to show you how to do a feathered Baptist fan. I've marked a square stitched around the outer edges. I'm starting here. I've brought my threads up. I am using the 2 1/4 inch Baptist fan, which is marked at the top of the Baptist fan, and we're going to sew lining up our reference lines here and here, and we're going to sew all the way to the edge for the first one. It is made up of arcs as we would a Baptist fan, but this time we're going to double stitch every line. So we're keeping our template in place, we're not moving off our mark, and we can backtrack down to where we began. We're going to stop here. We're now going to move the template across, keeping our reference line at the top in place, and we're going to sew our next. We're always only going to go on these to that center reference line that is marked on the tool. So when we get to that needle in line with the center reference line, which is just here, so we can see the line here, we can also see the line on the back, we're going to go back. We're going to be using the start point for each one of these feathers in our fan. We're going to stop, change the template. We're going to the next size down. You can do these where they're spaced further apart and only have half the number of feathers. And on this next set, the sample I'm going to sew one which is fully feathered and one which is only half. We're going to stop at that center line again and go back. And we'll do this all the way through, changing the template, stepping across. We move across this one to here, and we'll sew the next one. Change the template after we sew this. I'll sew these and I'll come back and show you what we do with the next one. This is our first feather, and we're going to stitch across the top. This time we need to go about 2 1/4 inches across, because that's the space between, so we're just going to stitch on that top line again. You can mark your template to tell you where that 2 1/4 inches is, but after you've done a few of these you get quite used to it. I've got the top reference line lined up, I've got a stitch across to the outer edge, and I'm going to sew my first arc. This arc is going to go all the way in, over, and that's going to enclose our Baptist fan. And we'll go back again. When we get to the end, I'm going to skip the first one here and go to the outer edge of the next template. This way they're going to be spaced further apart. So we won't have 8 little lines in here. For our feathers, we're going to have half as many. But we're just doing exactly the same thing. We're stopping on that center line mark and going back. Change the template to the next size. We're just doing the outer edge one again. You can do there are lots and lots of things we can do with this feathered fan. You could do them all closely spaced. You could do them all with the wider spacing. That's up to you. I'm going to alternate them through this block. So that's our next fan complete. We're now going to stitch across that 2 1/4 inches again, and put our first line in again. I've completed the first row, alternating with 4 feathers and 8 feathers. I've put an honesty line in to keep me on track, and we're going to start here. Brought the threads up, I'm going to sew out, and this one is going to be 4 feathers, so I'll alternate them again, but I'll do this with the first one's got the 4 feathers, the second one has 8 feathers. we're going back to the beginning. Change template, and we're just doing the outside one on this. It's a really pretty effective pattern. Very simple to do, very relaxing to sit and change the template and stitch these double stitched lines. And gives you a really pretty fill for a block. Change the template again. Once we've done the fourth one, we'll travel across to the same start at the next starting point, which is doing it exactly the same as we did in the first video. You may notice when I come and sew the feathers, I'm actually stepping slightly over, just 0.5 millimetre or so, and that way I'm not trying to build up all my stitches on top of each other when they come in here. I like the effect that I get, where I get a build up here and it gets wider. It gives more definition to the pattern. So we're just going to travel along this line here. And we know it's approximately just about here where we'll be ready to put the next template in. We've got our centre point here, our reference line. I need to stitch maybe 2 stitches across, line that up. Now it's on point there, and I just have to stitch across till my foot touches the edge of the template. And this one we're going to do the 8 feathers. So we'll come back when I finish and you can see how my feathered Baptist fan looks. This is the finished miniature feathered Baptist fan, and we've used 8 feathers, 4 feathers, 8 feathers, 4 feathers. Alternating, it gives you this lovely effect where they've formed a diagonal line across the block, but you could do them all as this one or this one. The choice is yours.